Mike, you're standing for election for Suffolk County Council.
Indeed I am.
You've previously been a councillor for Suffolk Coastal District Council.
And Felixstowe Town Council.
And what makes you want to become a Suffolk County Councillor?
Well, I think at this time, in this particular division, the skills that I've acquired over the last 10 years would be invaluable to this community, in that I feel where we're at is probably the most threatening time to this community since the Romans left in the 4th century. Well, the detail is this. Where we're standing currently is threatened to be covered in housing, and the threat's coming to the three communities, or the three villages of Walton, St Mary, St Martin, is coming from Trinity College, who many years ago said they were looking to bring 3,000 dwellings into the land that they own in this area. And basically it's a question of, do we keep our communities as villages that are communities, or do we just become a massive suburban sprawl, both for Felixstowe and Ipswich?
How, as a county councillor, could you affect that?
Well, the county council is a consultee in pretty much all of the things that happen with regards to planning issues in our town, and more importantly, out in the three villages. The road that we're standing beside is a county council issue. The things that they have said in the past as to how land should be used, sadly, has been rarely applied to by the planning authorities who make the final decisions. If we look at what happened at West, the requirements to make communities failed to be complied with. The things that should have been delivered weren't, and if I were at County Council, I would be in a position to bring pressure to ensure things that should be delivered are.
So, Mike, changes in the health service mean that County Council responsibility stretches down to health now?
Well, it does, and they're now responsible for public health and care, social care within the community, and the whole massive reorganisation costing £3.5 billion includes further responsibilities for the County Council. They have an obligation to work in concert with our doctors, the clinical commissioning groups, to deliver the best care they can in the budgets that they've got. And you need to take into account, as a result of inaction by the council previously, we now have the most fragmented and privatised health delivery in the whole of the east of England, here in NHS Suffolk area that was.
And you should be able to affect that? Or
I'm sure I can. I mean, we've only recently had, for the very first time, a clinician who's been chairing health scrutiny at the county. He, for the first time, has brought in alternative witness, better evidence, and scrutiny has gone up a pace, and I would like to help in that progress to improve scrutinising what often are private companies whose main drive is their responsibility to their shareholders and their profit. And I have a real difficulty valuing the NHS the way that I do, that profit should be made out of health delivery when it could be put back into health delivery.
It's not like we're going to see a great number of Lib Dems sitting in the council chamber.
Okay.
But what difference can you make?
Right. Well, you could say we'd probably be the grit in the oyster, making a pearl, but what we are very good at is researching, getting the facts, and confronting whoever the authority is with its own shortcomings, which it itself and its own members failed to do. And sadly, since the cabinet systems have come in, power continues to be held within very few hands. It's no longer spread across a whole of a council. So that is more important, that opposition, though small in number, are very active, very well informed, and keeps the electorate informed of what is actually happening, such as in areas like fire, education, housing, because we have major deficits in those in our town.
So finally, the last question, Mike, which is a bit of a go back on previous, but again I want you to sum it up a bit better, or tighter, is to ask the question, why Mike Ninnmey?
Well, Mike Ninnmey, sadly, I mean, my wife would ask the same question probably, but the reality is that as a result of circumstances, I happen currently to have an awful lot of knowledge about health, about housing, about tourism, about employment. Those things are very important, but I think what is even more important, I live here, I live in the village of Walton, and those working much more effectively with St Martin and St Mary's would be able to represent the people living here much more effectively than they currently are being represented.